Welcome back to the second episode of the Bracket Busters podcast. Here, I am your host, Ellie Crow, and we talk about all things mid-major basketball. Let me tell you, it's been quite the last week. We saw Memphis lose twice, twice to mid-majors in their conference. They lost to South Florida and they lost to Tulane. In fact, they actually snapped Tulane's 53-game losing streak against AP top 25 teams. So that's just scratching the surface of what happened. A lot of other things went on around various major conferences. We had Western Carolina lose to Furman at Furman. We had Loyola Chicago continue their hot streak in the A10. So quite a few things. Bradley is on the hot streak again. So, just want to start off here by talking about some of the crazy things that happened over the last week, and then also cover a little bit of what our top 25 rankings look like this week if you haven't caught them on our Substack already. So I think just addressing the elephant in the room here about Memphis. They have built quite the resume. I mean, they were ranked 10th last week in the AP poll. They have gone down 9 points as of today when the new AP poll came out. They were ranked 19th. I think personally that might be a little bit harsh because they do have quite an impressive resume, but you look at their net rankings, they've crashed pretty much, four times where they were in their net rankings. So they are now down to, I believe it is 49 in net rankings. It might have changed throughout today. Nets variously changes. And they were around 50-ish in the Ken Palm. So pretty brutal stuff. It on the surface, it looks, I think, a little bit worse than it really truly is. If we take a look at their two losses this week, they lost South Florida and Tulane. Tulane's a team that we were very high on earlier in the season. If you followed along with us in our top 25 mid-major rankings, we've had Tulane ranked several times throughout the season. I think Green Wave have been probably a big surprise here, but I think that's a testament to what Ron Hunter has done his last few seasons. They've really improved every season under him. They finished 12th his first season, 10th second season, then 5th and 3rd, and now they are 12-6 on the season, 3-3 in conference, including a win for the first time in 53 games, which, for those of you keeping track at home, is December 22nd, 1999. This is the last time that Tulane has beat a top 25 school. Last time they beat a top 10 school, February 12th, 1983. So we're talking about a long-time struggle for a Green Wave program that Ron Hunter's really turned around here. Kind of taking it back to Memphis, though, this is a pretty bad loss. You're Memphis. You were saying you were a top 10 team in this entire country. You play in the mid-major American Athletic Conference. I know that there's a lot of talk out there. Memphis. Oh, we're not a mid-major or power school. Well, you just lost the two mid-majors, including one loss at home, and then you lost at Tulane, who hadn't made a top 25 school in 20-something years. So I think it's hard to sit here and say that things are okay in Memphis. I will say I understand that they lost to Caleb. They lost Caleb Mills, who's going to probably be out for the season. They're going to need somebody to step up off the bench. I mean, he was posting 8.5 points, 3.2 rebounds a game. You're going to have to be able to replace that. I mean, their bench scored sub 10 points, I believe, in one of these games. So, that's not truly acceptable, especially, when you're looking at the teams that they're playing, they can't take any more losses like this. They're probably lucky the AP voters kept them ranked this week at all. Again, I think that they probably should be higher than 19. They're still a very good team. And I know I've talked about this multiple times in various posts and tweets online. It's just that Memphis has their best chance to make the Sweet 16 since their run in the mid 2000s. So, they need to really take a hard look at themselves in the mirror and debate, where do they want their season to go? Because the season's pretty down. Obviously you have your top teams, you got Purdue and all them, sure. But when you look, kind of from, let's just say, the top 5 teams down, there's been a massive variety of teams that have been ranked this year. The Mountain West is good, but the typical power schools are not, necessarily dominating. Big Ten's down. You look across the board. This is going to be the year that a mid-major or the year that a team like Memphis really wants to seize the moment, try to go to the Sweet 16, Elite 8. This is going to be the season to do it. Especially, that's why you have to win these games. Let's breaking down the box score a little bit here. So Tulane had Zion James post 22 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Kevin Cross, who, to my knowledge, is the only person to do this in quite a while, posted 2 triple doubles back to back earlier this season. So that's why I'm saying Tulane is a very good team and far better than what their computer metrics show. But Kevin Cross posted 21 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Kind of went over first win, huge win for this program, huge win for Ron Hunter. Cannot emphasize that enough. Tulane currently sits at 110 in the net rankings, so not really bad. And looking at their losses, they lost to Bradley, who is now receiving AP votes, has taken their net ranking all the way to 63, and they're continuing to climb. Lost by Bradley by 3. George Mason, who we've been pretty high on, they've struggled a little bit in A10 and conference play, but still a very good team. Lost by George Mason by 3, and FAU, who we all know, lost by 1. So, you're looking at 3 of their 6 losses here to very good mid-majors, very good programs. Again, FAU's been ranked the entire season pretty much. So, looking at those losses, they're really not that bad. I think the South Florida loss is kind of what kills them a little bit more here, even though South Florida's still not bad. They're sitting at about 130 in the net ranking, so really not that far off from Tulane. But again, I think Tulane should be a little bit higher than that. I know earlier this year Tulane was sitting around 80 or 70 whenever they were in our top 25 mid-major rankings. So I think the South Florida loss definitely does not help here. Had Memphis beat South Florida and lost to Tulane, we'd be having a different discussion. I just think it's taking back-to-back losses. But here's the problem: Memphis has been flirting with disaster for several weeks now. They had a close one against UTSA, which that's nothing against UT San Antonio because UT San Antonio just took FAU to overtime. Really, that is the beauty about the American Athletic Conference is pretty much all those teams can compete. Charlotte's good, North Texas is good. You have a lot of great mid-majors, and that makes it hard on Memphis, and that's why Memphis has to go out and schedule really tough non-conferences every single year because they need those metrics to try to get at-large bids. Because where it sits right now, the AAC is probably only a 2-bid conference with FAU and Memphis. So, these teams like Tulane, Charlotte, all them, they're probably not going to get at-large bids. So that's just why that you have to go out and schedule these teams. That's why FAU and Memphis have been doing what they do in the non-conference. And that's why they are ranked. So for the people out there who say, oh, they shouldn't be ranked, because, FAU took a bad loss or whatever it is, or Memphis took a bad loss, no, that's not necessarily fair because if you put them up against these other teams and you look at their non-conference, they schedule extremely difficult non-conferences. So, I don't think this is the end-all, be-all for Memphis. Again, they lost to a very good Tulane team. And looking at South Florida, Selton Miguel came off the bench with 23 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. And then Kason Pryor had 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists for a double-double. South Florida's played a really good game. I really don't know how much else you can say about that. They're still ranked 19th, so it's not the end of the world. But I do think that Memphis is going to want to try to boost their seeding up a little bit higher. And what I mean by that, try to get around that 5 range. And I think in order to do that, you're really just going to have to dominate the rest of the schedule. So, Memphis plays UAB next. UAB's been a pretty good team. They beat Drake, pretty recently. And Drake's obviously one of the best teams. They just beat Evansville by nearly 50 points in conference. So, you take out the Belmont loss and Drake would be even much higher in the net rankings than they currently are. So I think, beating UAB is going to be a testament. They need to bounce back from this, kind of what it did here, and try to reclaim the momentum they had from the non-conference going in, one of those top teams. But I go back to, I think they're trying to find some bench pieces, start to replace Caleb Mills, because that is a tough loss. I think a lot of people, look at 8.5 points, 3 points, 2 rebounds a game, and think, oh, we can replace that, but it's not quite that easy. But Memphis is playing at that level of caliber. Caleb's posting those numbers in the non-conference. He got hurt, I believe, just around January 4th, so it was just beginning of conference play. But you're posting those numbers in non-conference games against some of the top teams in the country. The Memphis has played some of the top teams in the country. That is not an easy thing to replace here. So Memphis is going to have to figure out how to find those bench pieces and how to find that boost off there because they can't just run their starters into the ground every single game. We've seen that happen with teams before, and it just doesn't end up working out for them because their starters just get wore out. They get hurt, they get tired, they can't play 40 minutes a game. Every single one of them can at least. So, I think they really need to take a look in the mirror and try to figure out how you want to rebound from this. You can't let another loss like this slip away. They will lose their ranking if they take another bad loss. Let's say they lose at UAB. They probably won't be ranked for the rest of the season. They're probably lucky to be where they are. I think the AP voters are being generous, again, because their net rankings are now 48. Ken Palm's 51. It's going to be hard for AP to continue to rationalize keeping them ranked in there. But again, if I were an AP voter, I'd vote for Memphis being in the top 25 as well. I think they're an excellent team. They scheduled a non-conference for a reason. So, I think at the end of the day, Memphis flailing a little bit, but I think he needs to figure out how can we rebound, continue on, and dominate the rest of this conference play.